Into this mix come a whole lot of other uh, sensitivities and kind of where your body doesn't quite handle things. And this comes in that a group of people do not handle sugars in their guts as certain sugars in their gut. And these sugars have been given this acronym FODMAP. I'm sure you've all heard of FODMAP. You have a group of substances, and this is getting back to organic chemistry again, which have one oligo or dies two little bits of building blocks of sugars. So those are saccharides, or something which is called a polyol, which ol is the bit that ends up in alcohol. So the FODMAP is this group of simple sugars. And the simple sugars are lactose, which comes from milk and milk products, fructose, which comes from fruit, which is higher in certain fruits, especially ripe fruits, and fructans, which are also found in certain other foods, galactans, which is another simple sugar, and the polyols, which is alcohol and artificial sweeteners. So this group, when you take these foods and you put them into your gut, what happens is you don't absorb them, you don't break them down, and you don't absorb them properly, and they end up in your large bowel where they get fermented. So that's the fermentable oligo and monosaccharides, simple sugars, and the polyols. They all get fermented, and then you end up with bloating and crampy pains and diarrhea. And that is called most commonly irritable bowel syndrome. So this is the group of people, and so they are, you can see this is broad amount of foods. And in fact, if I'll look here, I'll read out some of the foods that appear that can do this to you. So there's obviously milk and milk products. That's the lactose. There is apples, onions, garlic, honey, legumes. It's just and a whole range of other fruits. So once you're on a FODMAP diet, you are actually getting rid of a lot of foods that have a real nutritious value. Quite a number of those are actually anti-inflammatory as well, and they have huge nutritious value. So the difficulty here is that, as I read it, that doctors, just like me, know very little about nutrition, that there are a whole lot of self-proclaimed experts who just popped out of the woodwork all over the place, who are giving vast amounts of information, some of it just little snippets from here and there, and who are, bombarding people with all this stuff that in terms of diet, and it's very hard to make sense of what you can and can't eat. And if you do go onto one of these diets, suddenly you find that in fact the nutritious value becomes quite skewed, and then you start getting reductions in certain substances that you really need for health.